The day my girlfriend left me, the sky was painfully bright. Not the kind of bright that feels hopeful. The kind that feels cruel, as if the world is mocking your heartbreak by carrying on like nothing happened. I stood frozen in my small front yard, staring at the empty street while the last words she had spoken echoed through my mind. 4 years together had ended in less than 10 minutes. 4 years of dreams, plans, and promises scattered like dust in the warm afternoon breeze. My name is Corbin Hale, and until that day, I thought I knew exactly what my future looked like. I was 32 years old, worked as a mechanic in a small town outside Tulsa, and had spent years building a life with the woman I loved. Her name was Brielle Mercer. We had talked about marriage, children, and growing old together. I had even bought a ring 6 months earlier and hidden it inside a wooden box in my bedroom closet. But life has a strange way of rewriting stories. Brielle told me she wanted more. More excitement. More money. More opportunities. More than what I could offer. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply packed her things and walked away. And somehow, that hurt even more. If you're watching this story on a journey of hearts, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life changes our hearts, let us know in the comments below. I remained standing outside for nearly 20 minutes after Brielle left. The summer sun beat down on my shoulders while neighbors mowed lawns and children rode bicycles down the street. Nobody knew my world had just collapsed. Eventually, I walked back inside. The silence hit me immediately. Every room carried reminders of her. The coffee mug she forgot in the sink. The blanket folded neatly on the couch. The framed photo from our beach vacation hanging above the television. I sank into the sofa and stared at nothing. Hours passed. The afternoon slowly drifted toward evening. Then the doorbell rang. At first, I ignored it. I assumed it was a delivery driver or a neighbor. The bell rang again. And again. Reluctantly, I stood and opened the door. What I saw stopped me cold. Standing on my porch was Brielle's mother. Her name was Lorraine Mercer. She was 60 years old, elegant, sharp-minded, and known throughout town for owning several successful businesses. Unlike her daughter, Lorraine had always treated me with genuine warmth. But she looked different that day. Concerned. Determined. Almost angry. Before I could speak, she stepped forward and looked directly into my eyes. Then she said something that would change the course of my life forever. "You're mine now." For several seconds, I simply stared at her. I had no idea what she meant. My exhausted brain struggled to process the words. Lorraine sighed heavily and walked past me into the house. She sat at the kitchen table and motioned for me to join her. Confused and emotionally drained, I obeyed. The sunlight streamed through the windows as she folded her hands together. Then she explained. She wasn't talking about romance. She wasn't talking about ownership. She was talking about family. Lorraine told me she had spent years watching how I treated her daughter. She had watched me support Brielle through college. She had watched me care for her after surgeries and illnesses. She had watched me sacrifice opportunities to help build a future together. And she had watched Brielle slowly take all of that love for granted. Lorraine's voice trembled as she admitted she had argued with her daughter countless times about it. According to her, Brielle had become obsessed with status and appearances. She constantly compared her life to social media influencers and wealthy friends. Nothing was ever enough. Meanwhile, the qualities that truly mattered, loyalty, honesty, kindness, became invisible to her. Lorraine shook her head sadly. Then she told me something I would never forget. Family isn't always decided by blood. Sometimes it's decided by character. And as far as she was concerned, I had become part of her family years ago. The words hit me harder than I expected. For the first time that day, tears filled my eyes. Not because I missed Brielle. Because someone saw me. Someone recognized the effort, sacrifices, and love I had poured into another human being. After being discarded so casually, that acknowledgement felt priceless. Over the following weeks, life became difficult. Heartbreak has a strange rhythm. Some mornings you wake up feeling stronger. Then a song plays on the radio or a memory appears unexpectedly, and suddenly you're back at the beginning. I struggled. I barely slept. I lost weight. Work became the only place where my thoughts quieted. Yet Lorraine refused to let me disappear into loneliness. Every Sunday afternoon she invited me to lunch. Every holiday she insisted I join her family gatherings. When neighbors asked questions, she proudly introduced me as someone she cared about deeply. At first, I felt uncomfortable. I worried people would judge us. I worried Brielle would be angry. Most of all, I worried I didn't belong. But Lorraine never allowed those doubts to survive for long. She treated me exactly the same every single day. Steadily. Consistently. Without conditions. Months passed. Summer turned into autumn. Autumn became winter. Little by little, my heart began to heal. One snowy afternoon, Lorraine invited me to help organize documents at one of her office buildings. The project seemed simple. Boxes filled with old files needed sorting. I spent the day hauling paperwork and labeling storage cabinets. Near closing time, Lorraine called me into her office. She slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a proposal. A business proposal. Years earlier, I had dreamed of opening my own automotive restoration shop. A place where classic cars could be rebuilt and preserved. I had spoken about that dream countless times while dating Brielle. She always dismissed it as unrealistic. Too risky. Too ambitious. Too expensive. Apparently Lorraine remembered every conversation. She had spent months researching the idea. The folder contained financial projections, property information, startup estimates, and business plans. I stared at the pages in disbelief. Lorraine smiled. Then she said she believed in me. Not the version of me shaped by heartbreak. The version buried underneath it. The man who still had dreams. The man who deserved a chance. For the first time in nearly a year, excitement replaced sadness. The following months were exhausting. I worked longer hours than ever before. Every spare dollar went toward the business. Lorraine became both mentor and investor. Not because she expected anything in return. Because she genuinely wanted to help. Many nights I sat alone inside an empty warehouse imagining what it could become. Fresh paint. New equipment. Rows of restored classics shining beneath bright lights. Each vision pulled me forward. Each challenge strengthened my determination. Finally, after nearly 18 months of preparation, Hale Restoration Garage opened its doors. The first few weeks were terrifying. Customers arrived slowly. Expenses piled up. Sleep became rare. But gradually word spread. People appreciated honest work. They appreciated craftsmanship. Within a year, the shop was thriving. 3 years later, we expanded into a second building. Then a third. The dream that once seemed impossible became reality. And through every milestone, Lorraine stood beside me. Cheering louder than anyone. One spring afternoon, nearly 4 years after Brielle left, I attended a local charity fundraiser. The event took place in a beautiful garden filled with blooming flowers and golden afternoon sunlight. Hundreds of guests mingled among white tables and decorative lanterns. I was speaking with donors when I noticed a familiar face across the lawn. Brielle. For a moment, time seemed to stop. She looked older. Not physically. Emotionally. The confidence she once carried so effortlessly appeared replaced by regret. She approached cautiously. I could see nervousness in her eyes. We spoke briefly. She asked about my life. The business. The years that had passed. Then she admitted something. Leaving had not brought her happiness. The opportunities she chased never fulfilled her. The relationships that followed lacked depth. The life she imagined turned out to be an illusion. As she spoke, I realized something surprising. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't even sad. I simply felt grateful. Because if she hadn't left, I might never have discovered who I was without her. I might never have built the life standing before me. And I certainly would never have gained someone as extraordinary as Lorraine in my corner. That evening, as the fundraiser concluded, Lorraine joined us. The look on Brielle's face when she saw her mother standing proudly beside me revealed everything. Some lessons take years to learn. Some people spend entire lifetimes searching for what truly matters. Brielle finally understood. Love isn't measured by status. Family isn't measured by convenience. And success means very little if you sacrifice meaningful relationships to achieve it. Years continued passing. Life kept moving forward. The garage grew. Friendships deepened. New opportunities emerged. Eventually, I met someone remarkable. Her name was Tessa Rowan. She was kind, intelligent, and carried a warmth that made every room feel brighter. Unlike my past relationship, our connection grew slowly. Patiently. Built on trust instead of expectations. Lorraine adored her immediately. In fact, she often joked that she intended to keep both of us whether we liked it or not. When Tessa and I eventually married, Lorraine sat in the front row with tears streaming down her face. As I looked at her during the ceremony, memories flooded back. The empty house. The heartbreak. The afternoon sunlight. The ringing doorbell. The woman standing on my porch saying 4 unforgettable words. You're mine now. At the time, those words confused me. Years later, I finally understood their meaning. She wasn't claiming ownership. She was offering belonging. And sometimes, when life shatters your heart, belonging becomes the most valuable gift of all. Before we reach the ending, I have a special request for everyone watching today. Comment below with the words, "Kindness changes lives," if you believe one act of compassion can completely transform someone's future. Today, Lorraine is in her 70s. The businesses are thriving. The garage continues growing. And every Sunday afternoon, we still gather around her dining table. The tradition never stopped. Sometimes we laugh until our sides hurt. Sometimes we share stories from the past. Sometimes we simply enjoy being together. Because family is not always the people who stay when life is easy. Family is often the people who show up when your world is falling apart. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to A Journey of Hearts. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need hope, encouragement, or a reminder that second chances still exist. The day my girlfriend dumped me felt like the worst day of my life. But looking back now, I see it differently. It wasn't an ending. It was a beginning disguised as heartbreak. And the doorbell that rang moments later didn't bring more pain. It brought a new family, a new purpose, and a future greater than anything I could have imagined. Sometimes the greatest blessings arrive wearing the clothes of our biggest disappointments. And sometimes, the people who truly change our lives are the ones who quietly step forward when everyone else walks away. That is the kind of love that lasts forever.